Good morning, Blues. Welcome back to the show. Sorry, I'm a little bit later today and I'm having to do the show on my laptop webcam because it wasn't connecting, being silly. It's a Friday morning, but anyway, we're here to talk about Chelsea, so hopefully you can hear me okay. Yes, I know the first comment is, how has John Cena saved Chelsea? I am going to explain that, and it is a bit of a silly show today, like nothing overly serious. I have to be honest with you guys, because I'm a little bit tired of talking about transfer rumors, to be honest. So we are going to be talking about some more silly stuff in today's show, because I just kind of feel like it. And I think that's what this show should be. So please do hit that like button if you're watching live. Please do share the stream around with friends. You can also listen back to the show on my podcast feed a little bit later. And of course, I will be back later tonight talking about Chelsea versus Aston Villa in the FA Cup. So a lot going on today. I'm not the biggest fan of Chelsea playing on a Friday night, I have to be honest with you. I think it's a bit of a crap day. But I'm not going to hide the ball. How has John Cena fixed Chelsea? And how he has fixed Chelsea is right here. I was just looking through Reddit just for something to talk about. Now, I don't know if you remember, quite a few months ago, John Cena on his John Cena has a trend on his own Instagram of just posting really, really, really random pics of whatever it could be. I mean, he's posted Taylor Swift pics. He posts pics of like random movies, and then for some reason, a few months ago, back at the end of October, after we lost to, I think it was Brentford, wasn't it? He posted a picture of Marc Cucurella. Why? I have absolutely no clue why he posted a picture of Marc Cucurella. I don't know if some Cucurella Stan account hacked John Cena's Insta for one day, and that's how this happened. But someone's pointed out that since John Cena posted Cucurella on his Instagram, with no explanation, Chelsea are undefeated at Stamford Bridge. See, I think there is a clear correlation between these two things right here. The power of John Cena, the power of Cucurella's hair, the power of random Instagram posts are saving Chelsea Football Club. I think it's all settled. And also, as is pointed out here, Cuckoo hasn't been seen around since this post either. I think that's slightly untrue. He might have played a couple of games since then, but we'll take it. We'll take it. And listen, I think that we know hopefully this now goes on for the rest of the season. And if Chelsea do struggle again, John Cena will come to our rescue. Super Cena, John Cena, winning all the time. Big match, John. I hope Cena doesn't retire from the WWE anytime soon. But another Chelsea tie, another Chelsea link to John Cena is, of course, Argyle, because he does actually feature in Argyle, who of course have a little nice partnership with Chelsea at the moment. So to me, I'm going with this. I do think that John Cena and Chelsea, because remember, John Cena was it was shortly after, you can find this pic right now, John Cena was in the same box at Stamford Bridge with Todd Bowley shortly after, I think I've got this right, it was the Leicester game at the end of the 21-22 season. So right before the takeover had officially gone through, John Cena was randomly, absolutely. This is a rational perspective. The rational perspective is that Marc Cucurella's picture on John Cena's Instagram is saving Chelsea. Please do hit the like button if you agree with that, because I think it's a logical theory. Christian here, Cena reported Spurs fan. This makes this post even weirder. Yeah, so years and years ago, earlier in his WWE career, they did some promotional thing. Again, if you search John Cena Spurs, he randomly was at White Hart Lane. That's how long ago it was. I mean, I think this was like 07, 08, may have even been earlier than that. And he was just on the pitch and he called himself a Spurs fan. But I mean, I don't know how much John Cena actually knows about football. So maybe he's been easily converted because of Bowley, which, I know people have a go at Bowley, but if they've converted one of the greatest individuals in human history to a Chelsea fan, I think that just makes Chelsea even better. The other really silly thing we're talking about today is Bedgate. We have to talk about Bedgate because it has become such an outrageous story over the past couple of days. The funny thing to me, and I don't know if it's because this particular video has been released in the days since, but Chelsea, so this is from the Chelsea women's game on last Sunday. Chelsea beat Man United convincingly. Lauren James, an outstanding performance. And that's really what should be the focus here. And why stuff like this actually, is it the end of the world? But then apparently the person in this bed apparently is someone famous. I got told this, and I was supposed to know who this was. I to be honest, I don't really care who this was. Apparently it's some sort of influencer. And then, of course, as you expect from Chelsea Twitter or Chelsea X or Chelsea social media, this then sparks mass outrage. It's the end of the world. It's Argyle Part 2, effectively. The game's gone. Now, I have to admit, when I first saw this, there is obviously that traditionalist in me, that kind of eye roll. I think seeing influencers who I could be accused of being an influencer, but no one can accuse me of not really being a proper Chelsea fan. Even though I don't like that word. When I see this stuff, I do roll my eyes, and I don't quite know why you'd want to watch a game outside in bed when you could just do the same thing from home in the warm, especially at this time of year. It's just a little bit bizarre to me. But is this like the existential threat to Chelsea that everyone has made out? I kind of think it's not. I kind of think that people overblow stories like this when actually, and maybe to some people it's a small part of a wider thing. But if this investment that you get from sponsorships like this that hasn't taken away seats, I think this is the key thing. A bit like the Argyle thing with the guys behind the dugout, that those guys were not taking away seats from anyone. They weren't taking away seats from potential fans that could have been sat there. And with this as well, I believe this is where they actually used to have media, or at least where Sky used to be, and Sky has now moved up to really the corner of the Matthew Harding upper. So this is not an area that fans could have been sat on that particular day. So to me, it's not a big issue in that sense. I mean, if this was in an area, like let's say they took a chunk out the Matthew Harding lower and did this, obviously we're going to have a different conversation, aren't we? But we're not. And the issue to me is that it didn't really ruin the experience. People who I know actually were at the game, who do go and watch Chelsea women on a regular basis, had no issue with this, didn't even notice this was going on, enjoyed a massive win, enjoyed the LJ hat-trick, and moved on with their life. If it gets to club investment, if it gets to club sponsorship deals that then, in this particular situation, makes the Chelsea women's team better, continues to make them successful, even in the post Emma Hayes era, which is of course going to be a challenge because she's been such an amazing figurehead. Generally, if these sponsorship deals make Chelsea more successful and gets investment in, especially when we don't have a bigger stadium, I talk a lot about what Chelsea means beyond winning, and I do think that matters. And I'm not sitting here and telling you that if I had my utopia, this sort of thing would be going on. But let's be honest here. Is it really the thing we should get outraged about? No, I don't think so. Like, I think the things that absolutely deserve our condemnation is the away subsidy coaches being taken away earlier in the season, the price of season tickets, broadcasters taking the mick out of supporters on a regular basis, like the Christmas Eve fixture, us trying to sell our best player in Conor Gallagher and apparently being fond of him, but not offering him a new contract. These are things to me that I actually think make a tangible difference and are actually, like, for instance, Sam Kerr apparently signing a new contract. That makes a tangible difference to Chelsea. A short social clip of someone sat in a bed for a silly promotion that most people are going to forget in like 2 days. Does it make that much difference? Have Chelsea claps, or have, this is what I said after Argyle, the commercialization of football, and people like to call it the Americanization of football. Listen, we've been through this for years. It's nothing new. There will be things that to a certain type of fan will look cringy, will look out of touch, will look like something that doesn't belong in a football stadium, right? But does it, if it, unless it completely ruins your match day experience as a fan, if you go to the bridge either to watch the women, to watch the men, is it really that big of an issue? I think that a lot of people like to talk about these things and make them a bigger deal. And for me, like, the club will be happy that this has gone viral. This is the thing I think people don't get with the Argyle promotion. That couldn't have gone any better with the promotion it got, with how widely that went social, like how viral it went. That would have been seen as a massive success as a promotion by the club, and also by, of course, the makers of Argyle and the people who did that deal with Chelsea. It's the same with this. Hilton will be delirious that this has gone viral and they see Hilton on every video. How many times has this been viewed? How many, not just from the Chelsea bubble on social media, beyond that. Now, I know people go, well, it's being criticized, it's being lambasted, but it's a promotion that has got eyeballs on it, which means that it's a successful promotion. If you don't want these things to continue to happen, do not give them the time of day. Do not give them weight on social media, because then if those promotions don't happen, that branded content isn't going anywhere and the club won't get that branded content again, which kind of impacts the club in a negative way. I mean, again, I don't think it's the end of the world, and I kind of think for me at times, I was having a discussion with someone recently about this, that it just, at times it feels like Chelsea socials go to get outraged about the most silly things, and we're not actually focusing on serious things. Krishna here says, personally better than Man United, who got sponsors for seemingly every single thing you can think of. I swear Man United got sponsorship for noodles at some point. But absolutely, I mean, Man United had Deadpool 2 sponsors years ago. They had a tie with that, where Deadpool, again, one of my favorite films, so I'm a little bit biased here. If Deadpool 3 was having a promotion with Chelsea, I'm going to be a lot more favorable to it, obviously, than other people. And they still do. Yeah, I mean, I think that this is the thing that, unfortunately, kind of just have to accept it as part of the modern game. And I think people like Argyle thing, a little thing that I didn't mention when I talked about it in my review, was that there was a lot of media that made out it was somehow Bowley's production company, and major outlets talked about this in their match reviews, and then that was not true. It's not Bowley's production company. A24 did not make Argyle. So it just, people, I think, use these things. What frustrated me last season with a lot of the criticism of Chelsea's ownership, it felt like people were trying to use the smallest things to jump to, people like to jump to a conclusion and then make the facts bend around that conclusion or narrative, rather than the facts can sometimes undermine that narrative. And then we look at facts and then we change our opinions on something, or we evolve them or slightly alter them. This is just, for me, manufactured outrage. I think the success of these two promotions mean that it's more likely we're going to see more of it, which annoys people more, which probably means more interactions on social media, which means it's a more successful promotion for Chelsea. So the advice to someone who's really outraged about this: don't promote it on social media, ignore it, move on with your life. And that maybe if more people took that, then maybe it would be seen as a less successful promotion, and Chelsea would stop doing it. Because I personally am of the belief that I don't think that it makes that much of a difference, to be honest. I really don't. I think there are more important things in life. Let's move on to here. Rob Prattley, the brilliant Rob Prattley. We're going to talk a little bit about strikers now. He gave us 3 options in this poll, and I did vote in this poll, as you can see. If you had a choice between these 3, option A, Callum Wilson for 18 million, a 2-year contract with a 1-year option, 100k per week. Option B, Karim Benzema, 6-month loan, but potentially a future deal to be done, a 6 million loan fee, but you're paying him 250k per week. Or option C, there is absolutely no striker this window. Now, in my video yesterday, I spoke about Duran. Now, Duran has been impacted by the Chelsea curse, which is you come anywhere near Chelsea, you get linked to Chelsea, you get injured. He's now got a hamstring injury, which means he's not only missing tonight's game against Chelsea, he's going to be out for a few weeks, and he's going to be out for an extended period of time. So that basically ends any interest. So then what do Chelsea do now? I have seen this link to Callum Wilson. Obviously, Newcastle are in a bit of a bind at the moment. They're having to sell some of their players. Miguel Almiron looks like he could be off to Saudi himself to try and balance the books. This was something I think we spoke about in one of the other Morning Blue shows. It may have been the first or second episode, in terms of basically Newcastle are in a situation now, especially with a lack of European football, where they have to make up the money. And part of that could be selling someone like Callum Wilson. But I do laugh because, I mean, maybe it's reverse psychology from Chelsea. Maybe if we sign one of the most injury-prone players in recent years in the Premier League, it will end our injury curse. Maybe that's kind of the voodoo kind of suspicion myth type thing we're going for, where actually it hit Callum Wilson just being at Chelsea reverses the injury curse. But there's something there. I mean, listen, 18 million, as much as Callum Wilson has proven to be a good striker, I just think it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I still think Benzema, my logic was Duran doesn't make that much of a difference. Maybe Benzema does and he gets us further up the table. But I agree with some of you that I am kind of the belief now that option C, if we're at deadline day and nothing's happened, I think probably Chelsea are in a good position, because then Nicholas Jackson will return. Hopefully, Breuer gets another period of time at Chelsea, and then we reassess that in the summer. If all the reports are to be believed that Chelsea are going to be making a big move in the summer, a big play, then this makes sense to me. Just deal with what you have. Wait for your bigger option. You're saving money in the process. Hopefully, if you're looking to sell Armando Breuer, he can maybe boost his value for the rest of this season. Maybe he plays again tonight. Maybe he scores a goal, and that increases the market. These are all things that I think are relevant. I think are important. And I always worry that Chelsea are going to jump 2-footed into a really stupid move that we end up regretting. Now, I know some people are really hot on Benzema. They love him as a player. Listen, Benzema's been one of the best strikers in world football over the past decade. There's no denying that. And the idea that he could come in and have some impact, of course, could be relevant and could make a difference. Like, that's my problem with Duran. I just don't think he makes... I think you're just getting more of the same of what you already have. A raw young striker who could offer some chaos, could offer strengths in certain areas where, say, Jackson and Breuer can't give you, but it's not, for me, it's not substantial enough, especially in January where you don't have a lot of time and it does feel like a little bit of a rushed move to make that transfer happen. To me, that's my opinion. But in the case of Wilson, I mean, again, it on paper, maybe in some theory, it looks good, but what if he gets injured? Which he is very prone to do in his career. Like, he gets multiple injuries, sometimes 2 or 3 in a season. Can Chelsea, when you sign a loan player, especially for like 6 months, or when you sign someone in January, the idea of Wilson is, given his age, it has to be an immediate impact. This is not someone for the future. This is not someone who you bring in and, well, listen, like last year, Anoni Melawake, Makala Mudryk, we're investing in the future here, not just the present. No, with Wilson, with Benzema, you're signing a player for right now. You've gone out in the market and try to sign someone because you feel that they can give you an immediate impact. If that player gets injured, it feels like a little bit of a waste, to be honest, because then if in the summer you're then looking to sign someone else, what was really the point in that signing to begin with? That's kind of my analysis of Callum Wilson. I think he's a good player. I think Karim Benzema has been an amazing player. But listen, I said since the start of the window, signing no one and trying to keep Conor Gallagher was kind of my big ambition of this month. And Chelsea just not doing dumb things was my big ambition at the start of this month. And I think option C of not signing anyone will hopefully do that. So we're going to wrap up the show. I will be back this evening to talk about Chelsea versus Aston Villa in the Premier League. In the Premier League and the FA Cup, we're back in the Premier League. Let's just go for Krishna's comment here. It's why I personally really think only a Drew like striker works. To me, Taremi is the kind of closest to that. I think that's the striker from Porto, but I really don't think signing anyone is the best option. I agree with you, mate. I think that just save your money, save your options. I don't trust that Chelsea will make the right decision in the summer anyway, but I think that's a smarter option, and it then gives the breathing room to say Jackson when he returns from AFCON to have those minutes to become a better player. And I think that Jackson already with 7 goals at this point in his season, and now he's gone out onto AFCON, which means that he's missed quite a few games for Chelsea already, that we wait to see how good he gets, how much he develops, how that raw striker can be even further developed. If Nkunku can return and play a substantial part of the rest of the season, which we hope, fingers crossed, how those two link together. And I would like to think that Chelsea would be in a position or open to the idea that our attack could feasibly get to a place by April or May where actually we look at it and go, okay, maybe it still needs some seasoning, but it doesn't need 200 million. Actually, let's trust on what we've invested in. Let's actually look out in the market for someone experienced to maybe add another option if you're going to sell Breuer. It's just, for me, it's just, I would rather stick with what we've got. If it just kind of flies in the face of what Chelsea's whole project has been, or supposed project has been, of signing these young players and giving them time to develop. If you then buy players who are going to take those minutes, it's kind of a waste of time while you just invested in all those young players because they need minutes to develop. They're not going to develop if they're just sat on the bench watching a 30-year-old get those minutes. So that's my opinion. But that's going to be it. That's going to be it. And we always end with a great comment. Matt here, I didn't even see John Cena at the game. Don't think anyone else did, to be honest. You never see John Cena, but he makes a lasting impact on everything he does. So I will see you tonight for the FA Cup game. Hopefully, I'm talking about a Chelsea win. And hope you have a brilliant Friday wherever you are in the world. Please do give this stream a like. If you're listening on the podcast, please do give us a positive rating review. It really does help out. Really gets more people involved. Share across social media. You can follow me across the socials at SonOfChelsea on X, on Instagram, on TikTok. And I will see you again very soon. All the best.